Yeah. Hi. I'm praying that the world changes soon. Can get a doobie on a plane, but there's Uzis in our schools. Every dude who touched a Hoover, a booty getting me too. What you expect from the kids who went to Hooters after school? We're all triggered and defensive. We're all racist and we're sexist. We all grew up watching South Park. How are we offended? Now being fat is beautiful. Name a thing that you can't do. Jumping jacks, run a mile, live past 42. Man, it used to be cool to just flip a bird to the system, and now it's trendy to be triggered and pretend you're a victim. It's my race, it's my weight, it's because I'm a Christian. I hate the internet and anyone who has an opinion. And everybody angry if you say white. Okay, fine. Pass me the brush and I'll paint my face to the shades right. Let's talk about abortion. Sorry, tell me how this works. Bacteria is life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't life on Earth. Weird.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Smack Talk Live. I am Coach Long with Lone Wolf. And Lone Wolf, I started with it's a song from singer. His name's Tom McDonald, and it's called "People Are So Stupid." And I'm starting with that song because people are so stupid that they continue to put out that the Packers are going to trade Aaron Rodgers. And that's where we're going to start. We're going to go into this.
Right into it. Yeah.
Anything else. Adam Scheffler is the biggest dope around. He put
normally I respect him, and he is a lot
I
of
do not
that he talks to, and yeah.
It is so absurd. The Packers have came out and said we are not trading him, which they should. They should have. I think that is a proper response.
Right.
They are saying, well, he is our quarterback. We're not trading him. They have all the leverage. He has he does not have a no trade clause.
Yep.
He's stuck, whether he likes it or not. And then if the rumors are true, well, if I'm not traded, I'll retire. Then retire.
Right. Lose out on all that money and retire. Yep.
Right. Now, what came out this week, and I think this is more telling than Adam Scheffler, and this is why I went there.
Okay.
Is that both James Jones and John Kuhn have come out and said, this isn't about getting people fired or this, that. This is about trying to win a championship.
Yeah, which they both did.
Which we all agree. They are both very confident that basically he's either going to play for the Packers or retire.
Right, he's not going anywhere else.
But he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's why I played the song People Are So Stupid, because these things are still going around, always going to Denver, always going to San Francisco. The Packers, if they do end up trading him, are not trading him to a contender.
Right. Absolutely not. It's a non-contending team in the AFC if they trade him.
Right. Right. That you're looking at, you're probably going to end up going to, geez, I don't even know, Houston?
Right. I mean, we talked about that last time. That's probably what they could do with him, is stick him in Houston. Definitely a non-contender, and it's in the AFC, so 2-year contract, goodbye, and that's it. But I agree. And here's the other thing. So, and I found this amusing. Brett Favre offered his insight on this whole situation earlier. Unlike John Kuhn and James Jones, he was like, oh, well, I know Aaron, and Aaron will sit out. He'll sit out the season. Okay. Brett Favre is not the person
to
be offering an opinion on this situation. Mr. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. And then, I'm going to stick it to the Packers after I'm done with my year with the Jets. And, it's all about me and blah, 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 blah. He can say all of that. He didn't even talk to Aaron Rodgers. He texted Aaron Rodgers, and that was about it. So I don't buy that for a second. And Favre is self-serving, so I don't even want to hear what he has to say.
Right. In that thing, I totally agree. It's like, Favre created his own drama when he left Green Bay.
Right.
He had, I think, a little more leverage
I think so. Yeah.
to get out. Rodgers does not. He doesn't have any leverage. He's under contract for 2 more years. He does not have a no trade clause, so he can't say I only am going to go play for this team. The Packers can. The Packers
sitting out is
basically
leverage, right, Coach?
Yeah.
I mean, like they're looking at it as if this is leverage for Rodgers.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're gonna retire? Well, retire then.
Right.
Retire. You hate to say it, but just retire then. So, I wanted to just cover that, get that out, get that over with, and move on. I think as the weeks go on here, they'll get less and less. I doubt the Packers are going to fire the GM because Rodgers wants to. Now, I would say there's a basis for a couple of iffy draft picks this year because I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
But, and I'm not, I guess now it's been, 2 drafts, and I haven't really been impressed with either draft from the GM. So, if he was fired and replaced, I wouldn't cry over spilled milk with that.
No, and that's merit based. It's because of performance. It wouldn't be because of, because the quarterback wanted him to go. I mean, you and I were on, and we only made it to the first round. Obviously, when we did our show, we had some high question marks about the very first pick that they had. I liked most of the rest of their draft, but that first pick is such a premium. I feel like you overpaid for a guy who, like you said, was ranked in the 70s, and you paid for him at 29. And he's fast, but he's a little raw, and I just don't like that. So the rest of their draft, I kind of liked it, but that hurts their draft grade when you look at that. So
yeah, so that leads us into talking about the draft, talking about a couple of the grades that were out there. I don't want to go through every team because it's just
yeah.
We are not going to do that. It's going to take too long to do that.
Well, that would be the whole show, I think. So,
but a couple of things that stuck out when I looked at it, nothing but no F's or D's in the draft.
Yeah,
everybody got a passing grade, from what I read. And
I mean, I read a couple reports, and one team got a D, and everybody else got an A or a B.
I'm like, so we're gonna have
possible.
We're gonna have awesome football here the next 6-7 years.
Every team is going to be amazing.
Come on, people. There's no way that these teams did that great in the draft. I have a hard time believing that. And the one team I want to get right into, and they're in our back door, and this is a lot of different people, a lot of different takes on this team. The Chicago Bears.
I've got a take. I'm salivating on this one.
I'm sorry. This is Mitchell Trubisky 2.0. I said it last week, and I thought, okay, I'll give it the week.
Yeah.
I'll give it the week. I'll think about it. And kind of, let it marinate a little bit. No, still doesn't change my mind. This is Mitch Trubisky 2.0 all over again. And you drafted up to get a guy that there's a reason he got passed up. I just don't get it from the Bears. And people are like raving this pick.
Yeah, I mean, when I sent that message to you earlier, I was reading that report about it, like heralding him as the godsend of amazing picks. Like this was, I can't believe he fell to that spot. What choice did the Bears have but to move up to find him and get him? And I mean, I'm reading some of this stuff, and this guy's not alone. He's not unique, but there's a reason he fell. Okay, so I was looking at a website, and I'll credit this website for what I was looking at. It's walterfootball.com, a scouting report on Justin Fields. Okay, and it talks about all the things that he has that are good in college: accurate passer, good arm strength, can make throws, throws hard, throws into windows. He's athletic. All of those things are great, right? And you see that out of a lot of college quarterbacks, right, Coach? I mean, you see that. But
Yeah.
here's the negative parts that the scouting report gave: poor pocket awareness, can get rattled by the pass rush, can freeze when seeing the blitz, must get better at passing in the face of the rush. Blitz recognition needs work. Well, you know what that tells me? He ain't going to succeed at the next level, because that's what teams are going to do to a rookie quarterback, is blitz the crap out of him.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. This is a pass rush league. Defenses
Exactly.
rush the passer. And that's not going to change. And that's why I like Mac Jones better than Justin Fields. I think Mac Jones is in a situation where he was already in a pro level style offense.
Right.
He played under coaches that run a pro style offense. He had to make reads. Justin Fields didn't have to make any reads.
No.
Let's be honest, especially this year. The Big Ten was just horrible because of COVID. Horrible.
Right.
I mean, you had
And Ohio State
Northwestern
played,
winning.
7 games?
Yeah, and they only played 7 games. I'm sorry. That this is a bad pick, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. He could be the next coming of Joe Montana. I don't know. But on face value and the information that I've read and everything that I see, in just the history of of Ohio State quarterbacks succeeding in the NFL,
Right.
you don't have a great track record. And it was funny. I was talking to a couple of Bears fans the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they were raving about him.
Yep.
And I brought that up. I said, "Why are you so stoked about Justin Fields?" And they're like, "Well, look at the success he had at Ohio State." I go, "Yep, and so have a lot of other quarterbacks that came
Dwayne
out of
Haskins.
Ohio State."
I mean,
And so then I said, "Name the last Ohio State quarterback to lead the team to a Super Bowl." And they're like, what do you mean? Like recently? I'm like, ever. And they couldn't do it. And I don't even know if there is one.
I don't know. I'm going to look it up right now while we're talking about it, because I honestly don't know.
And it was funny because I go, who was the quarterback before Justin Fields? And they couldn't even name him.
Right.
I go, exactly. Who was the quarterback 10 years ago for Ohio State? They couldn't name him.
I mean, I would think they would at least know Dwayne Haskins, because he was drafted and he played and he was horrible.
They couldn't name him. That tells you that for some reason, and I don't know why, but quarterbacks that come out of Ohio State struggle in the NFL for whatever reason. Now, can Justin Fields break that? Sure, he can.
Sure, he could. Yeah.
My opinion is that he won't. Out of those 5 quarterbacks that were taken in the first round, the 2 that I think have the best chance of succeeding are Zach Wilson and Mac Jones.
Yeah. So here's what I found so far. Joe Germain was a backup to Kurt Warner when the Rams won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 35.
Yeah. But my question was, what's the last Ohio State quarterback that led the team, the NFL team to the Super Bowl?
Coach, this is what I found so far. This is all I've got. This is telling you something.
We are way back into the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think that was 2000. I mean, the point is, I don't even know if there are any Ohio State quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl as the starting quarterback. Joe Germain didn't play. Okay, so yeah, I do not know. But yeah, I agree. I mean, look, when you look at it here, I do not think that the Bears had, and the rest of their draft, whatever you want to say about it, we don't have to get into every pick, but this is a team that has failed at the quarterback position over and over again. This is a GM and a coach that haven't been able to put a quality offense on the field since the very first season that they were there. Well, and the coach, I should say. The GM is just misfired over and over and over again when it comes to the QB position. And I will say this, not all Bears fans are all in on this. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they said, look, I am a flicker of hope at the best about this situation. And so at least he's being realistic about it, because you really don't know. I mean, until he goes out there and actually performs well. There's a ton of guys that are athletic in college, but they use that athleticism to hide weaknesses that will be exposed at the pro level. So
yeah, so I did find a list. There have been 0 Ohio State quarterbacks that have played in the Super Bowl. 0.
There you go.
Now there have been some Ohio State quarterbacks that transitioned to different positions in the Super Bowl, but not as a quarterback. So the history is not on the side of Mr. Justin Fields. And sorry, Chicago fans, I don't think he is going to bring you a Vince Lombardi trophy.
Right.
So, looking at the draft, though, Lone Wolf, what are some grades that you were either surprised that they were higher than you thought they'd be or lower?
Well, I will say that, at least for a couple of things that I read, I felt like people were really giving the Lions a high grade. And now, they drafted Penei Sewell, who is a great player, and I'm guessing he's going to be a rock on that team for a long time. But I wasn't overly impressed with the Lions draft, and I think people were giving them A's and A pluses for their draft, and I just felt like it really wasn't that good. I mean, they did an okay job, but it felt overblown, and people were really making a big deal out of it. Like, you're at number 7.
Right.
You're going to get a good player. So,
and when you look at the Lions, Penei Sewell, great player. We'll see, if he's as good as
as advertised. Yeah.
As advertised. We have firsthand experience of having that. That.
Can't.
Oh my Lord! This is the next best lineman in league history. With what the heck's his name?
Tony Mandrich.
Tony Mandrich.
Yeah.
We passed up Barry Sanders to take him. That was a smart move back in the 80s. Or 90s, whenever it was. But so we'll see, but all it takes is to have one injury, either, to a shoulder or a hip or a knee, and your career is going to take a hit. So we'll see, how that transitions. Now, again, you're in Detroit. You have a ton of needs. It's not hard to have a draft where people get excited for, as long as you just are smart. You could basically go down Mel Kiper's big board of next best available and pick who's ever at the top, and he'll meet a need on your team.
Well, that was my point, Coach. You said it exactly. Like the Lions, the only way the Lions could have gotten a horrible draft grade was if they just picked like a cornerback every single pick or something. You know, like that's the only way they could have mucked it up. So they took a great player at number 7 because guess what? There's a great player available at the 7th pick of the draft. And then after that, they filled some needs on their team. So saying they had like an A or an A+ draft is kind of dumb, in my opinion. You know.
All right. Yeah. I think they had a solid draft. But here's the thing: you traded away Matt Stafford for Jared Goff. Do you think your offense got better or worse, even with Sewell on the line?
I mean, honestly, if you really want to nitpick it, they drafted a receiver in maybe the 4th round.
Right.
Their offense is terrible.
Right. Terrible. It's going to be worse.
They have a worse quarterback. They let 2 receivers go in free agency. They have nothing on offense. DeAndre Swift, I guess. I mean, they're just bad.
Yeah, it's not going to get any better. You have to, and again, this is Detroit. This is you have to look at this from a wide perspective with them. They did a lot of moves. They did something I said I would have done last year. But here's the thing. Here's where they made the mistake. You traded with a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So your compensation was later draft picks. I don't care if they were first-round draft picks. They were later draft picks.
Right.
Again, and this is where, too, you go back to the Rodgers things where people are like, well, the Packers owe him. They trade him to a contender so he can win a championship. No. Trade him where you get the best deal. And, you need to look at teams that are going to give you higher draft picks, not picks in the 20s. Especially now, the Rams are going to be a playoff team. Any draft pick you get is going to be later in the rounds. So I don't, that. And then he said they really didn't do much free agency. You have a head coach that I think is mentally unstable.
Right, exactly.
I mean, he sounds like the Black Knight from Monty Python in Search for the Holy Grail.
He kind of does, actually.
Bite your knees off. Well, I mean, seriously.
Right. 3 years. If he's still there in 3 years, I would be shocked.
I would be very shocked. But now, like I said, they, need pretty much everything. So we'll see what happens.
I'll say another team that I looked at, and people were giving them kind of like a B- kind of grade. And partially this is not the GM's fault of now. It's partially the sins of the old GM. But that was Houston. They were kind of giving, some of them give a higher grade. And I didn't really think, granted, they only had 5 picks in the whole draft, ultimately, is how it played out, based on trades and whatever else. But I mean, I don't know that they did a terribly great job in their draft. I don't have a lot of faith in their GM. And I talked to somebody who's a Houston fan, and he just said, yep, cashing it in for this year. If they win 3 games, I'll be surprised. So
no, they could win 4 or 5 because they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. If they're
right, yeah, okay. Yeah. I wasn't
I'll
overly
tell you right
impressed
now.
with their draft. I just don't think that you can give. I mean, you can try to give a grade based on the 5 picks that Caserio made, but I don't know that he did an overly impressive job with the way that he drafted. Music break.
Yeah, music break. Yeah.
But I mean, they drafted a QB with their very first pick, and I don't know if I really feel like that's a great pick or not. I mean, I realize that Watson is having all these problems, and they maybe need another one, but I don't know. There's a lot of other needs that they have on their team, and do you really feel like that guy's going to step in right away and be your starter? Because he might have to be. I don't know. What do you think about their draft and how
Oh,
they
it
got
was.
grade?
I mean, like you wrapped it up in a nutshell. That is, they didn't really have a draft. I mean, they didn't have first, second round pick. They are in a world of hurt here. They're in NFL purgatory for the foreseeable future. So, it's one of those things. They are going to be a franchise that's in disarray for a while. That's why I'm like, if I again, and nobody's talking about this, but if I'm Green Bay right now, and if Rodgers truly wants out, I am calling Houston, and even if he has to sit a year out because of everything going on outside of football, you can survive a year with Jordan Love, see what you actually got with the guy, and trade Aaron Rodgers straight up for Deshaun Watson. And be done with all this stuff. I'm kind of reading an article here while we talk about these things too, from CBS, and it was just posted a few minutes ago about about the perfect NFL media storm, and these CBS is like stoking this fire with Rodgers not being traded, because this guy, I don't even know who it is, but he looks like he does not know a thing about athletics and sports, is saying that the bridge between Rodgers and the Packers is burnt to a crisp and unrepairable. Really?
Which is exactly what John Kuhn, who actually talked to Rodgers,
said the opposite
was not
thing.
the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we talk about this a lot.
People, they just want to jump all over it. I mean,
But we talk about this a lot. These so-called professionals get paid a lot of money to talk drivel. And it's like, if we had the connections they had, this is just drumming up this is all drumming up media lines so they get viewers, because people read this.
Call it what it is, man. Be real about it. Don't make this stuff up. I mean, you think that you're just gonna. I feel like these guys put this stuff out there just to be sensational, and then see if somebody clicks on it or hits on it. Like, oh yeah. Okay, let's see what this says. Be
right,
real,
and yeah, like I said, I've said it multiple times last week. Until it comes from Aaron Rodgers himself or his agent, I don't believe anything.
Right, and he hasn't said anything.
And he supposedly has talked to people.
Right.
Well, I can sit there and say, hey, I've talked to so-and-so, and he told me this.
Right.
Okay.
Second hand, third hand, whatever. Yeah.
Next week I could come on the show and say, hey, I was able to talk to Aaron Rodgers, and this is what he said. Who knows if it's true?
Yeah.
It's just so again, we're getting off track, but Houston's draft not very good. They're not going to be
So
good for a while.
I think, Coach, I think we should end on a good note when it comes to the NFL draft. I'm just saying. I think we should. I liked, and there's a couple drafts that people have talked about that they liked, but I liked the Jets draft.
Yes.
And I know this is your guy, and obviously it was Douglas who was the guy who was drafting, but I think that he did a good job of putting a lot of players in place for Saleh to succeed with what he has available going in next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are rebuilding the core of that franchise, and it's going to be very young. So, I mean, I'm a Robert Saleh fan, so I'm going to root for the Jets because I like Robert Saleh. I like his energy. I like the way he coaches. I think I am rooting for him to win a Super Bowl. I don't care what franchise it's with. I would love to see him win a Super Bowl. They're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
I just hope and pray. And this is what the issue with New York teams. It's not just the NFL. It's not just the Jets. It's the Giants, and it's all the other all professional sports teams in New York.
Yeah, the Islanders, the Rangers.
They don't
Yankees,
give coaches and front offices time to build a program. And I know people are going to sit there and say, well, it's an NFL franchise. You can turn it on. You still need to develop a culture and a way of doing things, and that takes time. Yes, you can roll over your roster in a year and be in the playoffs and do this and that, and you might have a couple of good years. But do you want a couple of good years, or do you want 3 decades of success like the Packers had? The Packers have whether you agree with Green Bay does things, and whether you're on the fence of whether they've wasted Rodgers and Favre because they only got 2 Super Bowl titles. You know what?
That's 2 more than a lot of teams have in that same
right
span.
And I wouldn't trade if you said you could get 1 or 2 more Super Bowl titles, but half of these like winning successful seasons would be like 6 and 10 years. Yeah. I wouldn't trade it.
No. And I would agree, because you think about it as a fan, anybody that listens to this now or later on, when they're listening to it, as a fan, you know how frustrated you get when your team is having a bad year. So think about that as you go through and you say, okay, well, they have a good year and then they have a bad year, and they have a good year and they have a bad year. I mean, it's very frustrating as a fan.
Right. So
if they have good year after good year after good year and they have one down year, 1 year out of 5 or 1 year out of 6 they have a bad year, I'll take that all the time. I mean, yeah you only get a couple of titles, but you have a couple of titles in comparison to some teams that Cleveland fans would kill to have a title.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like there are NFL franchises that have never even made it close to winning a title.
Right.
So, let's get back to the Jets. So, I agree. I like their draft. The big question is, are you going to start Zach Wilson right away, or are you going to have a bridge quarterback? I don't even know who else is on their roster for quarterback.
I don't know who they have.
And I'm not going to get into it now, but that'll be the biggest question: is when do you start Zach Wilson? Again, I am always in favor of having a rookie quarterback sit, but I understand the nature of the business. You took him in the, with the second pick in the draft.
Right.
He's probably going to start week 1, if not a few weeks into the season. So, hopefully hopefully New York fans are patient. Give these guys a couple of years before they start bashing them. This is not Adam Gase there anymore.
No, thank God.
You don't have the crazy googly eyes at press conferences, and well, I don't call plays, but sometimes I call plays. But no, I don't call plays, but only if it's like in the fourth quarter I'll call plays.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So you don't have
What
that
does that
anymore.
even mean? Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think by far they had probably one of the best drafts of the night.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I think overall, I think there are some really high draft grades all across the board, and that kind of shocked me. And I didn't. I'm in the middle of coaching right now, so I didn't get a chance to really delve into all the different draft grades and break it down. So, but
Yeah, it looks like Mike White or James Morgan might be their quarterbacks. So
yeah, I could see them trying to bring in maybe a veteran quarterback.
I think so too. Yeah, yeah.
So that would not shock me if they do that. After June 1st, we're going to see another. I think not
Surge of
necessarily a
movement here.
huge
Yeah,
spree, but I think you're going to see a lot of player movement because I think there's a lot of post June 1st money saving moves teams can make. That's the thing too. We are not going to know anything about Aaron Rodgers if they're going to trade him until after June 1st, because after June 1st, they save more money if they do trade him. So, and same with if they give him a contract extension, they wouldn't get announced till after June 1st because they'd get bigger savings on the salary cap. So people just need to relax. I'm tired of hearing about it, to be honest. With Aaron Rodgers.
fed up with it. Right. There'll be no trade anything until June, if there is even any of that talk. So
right. And I just think the price tag is going to be too much for that a team's willing to pay. Because if you're like a contending team and you trade Aaron Rodgers, that team's going to be picking in the 20s. Well, if I'm going to ask for 4 first-round draft picks, I want them to be in the top half of the first round.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that means if I'm looking at Denver, who is around a 500 team with Rodgers, would probably be a playoff team.
Right.
Now instead of 4, because I'm going to be getting picks in the 20s, I want 6. I want your next.
Yeah.
I want your next 6 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to pay that.
No, not at all.
I'm telling you right now, the trade is not going to happen.
I don't think so either.
And it's either going to be Rodgers is going to get in line, and if he is yapping his mouth, shut his mouth, play for a team that was literally a few minutes away from the Super Bowl this year, or retire.
Yeah, and I mean, and this team could be primed for a shot at the Super Bowl again this year. So
this would be the funny thing. I would laugh. Rodgers decides to retire. Green Bay goes and wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be flipping hilarious.
It would be.
It'd be a tall order without him, but it could happen.
It could.
It could happen.
It could absolutely happen.
All right, let's move on to the NBA. We haven't talked about it, really anything but NFL.
Right.
The last couple of weeks. The NBA season coming to an end because there's only 72 games in the regular season this year.
Yeah, and it ends, I believe, on the 14th of May is the last game for the regular
season. I'm
not
sure. I think the Bucks have 5 games left.
It's coming in close. I think it's a week left, and I think that's all there's left to the game. To this.
Yeah. The Bucks have 5 games left. They ended up beating the Rockets tonight.
Okay.
They're kind of surging right now. Everybody's like, oh no, what's going to happen with Milwaukee with the Nets and blah 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 blah. And I'll
I
tell you
mean,
what, not really too. I mean, not saying the Nets are bad.
right.
Okay, so people don't freak out on me, but they're not as good as people think. They have lost
No.
4 in a row. They're now in the 3 seed because the Bucks win tonight, puts them
Oh,
tied
that's
with
right, right.
what.
Yep. I was looking at the standings earlier before that game was played. Yeah.
So, and the Bucks are, it's going to be taller to catch the 76ers. They
Yeah.
have a 3-game lead. They have the 76ers have won 7 in a row.
Yeah, they've been on a streak. Yep.
I think their last loss actually was to the Bucks. I think.
It may have been. It may have been.
Let's see here. Yeah, the last time the 76ers lost to the Bucks beat them back-to-back nights. The Bucks again, I think they're finally getting
They did, yeah.
that chemistry and that gel, and that's one thing that people are talking about is that, and even what the Nets coach, why can't I think of his name? Are you there, Lone Wolf?
Oh, I'm still here. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I can't. Who's the Nets coach again? Oh, Steve Nash. Steve Nash even came out and he said that what the Bucks have that we don't have is they have chemistry. We have
Oh
a
yeah.
chemistry.
Why didn't I even say I can't I sorry, I totally blanked too. I was like staring at my phone like what? Sorry.
so,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, in the remaining schedule the Bucks have. Let's see here.
Well,
They
and
have
while you look that up, so I agree with you, and this is telling to me. And this is late, so there's a difference between early season basketball, mid season basketball, and late season basketball, and then of course playoff basketball. But late season basketball, when you're making these pushes towards the playoffs, is definitely more akin to playoff basketball than not. And it's telling to me that the Bucks beat them 2 times in a row, the 76ers, I mean. You're beating a good team twice in a row. This is no slouch team. This is a really good team. And that does tell me that you're right. They're gelling when it matters. And that's what they wanted. I have good feelings about the Bucks as a fan looking forward to the postseason.
yeah, and looking back to those 2 games against the 76ers. So the game before the back to back with the 76ers, they lost to the Suns in overtime.
Right. Which is
128
always
to 127.
also a really good team.
Right. Then since then, they've played, they had a clunker, 2 clunkers in there, one against Atlanta, one against Houston. But in that
Right.
same stretch, they played the Sixers and the Nets both twice,
Yeah.
and they've won all 4.
But I will say this. Really the only loss that you have to be embarrassed about is Houston because Atlanta, they're not great, but they're still a playoff team.
Yeah, and
So
they beat and the Bucks played to Houston again tonight. They beat them. Yeah, and I think Giannis is still kind of he sprained his ankle about a week or so ago, so I think he's still working through that. Lopez led the team in scoring tonight. If that
and
says
that's what I
anything.
love. I love that.
Yeah, because you look at leading scorers. You have Giannis and a bunch, but then there's Middleton, there's Holiday, there's Lopez, there's
DiVincenzo.
Genzo. I mean,
Right.
they're all, Giannis has the most, which he should,
Yeah.
but he's not the only guy.
No, you have on their roster, according to the stats I'm looking at, which are current, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys right now overall for the season that are averaging double-digit points.
Yeah.
per game. 7. That's a lot of balance on your roster, and that's a lot of depth on your roster.
Right. Exactly. So the remaining games for the Bucks are all next week. Their last game is next Sunday, but they have the Spurs,
Okay.
then the Magic, then the Pacers, then the Heat, and then Chicago. All very winnable games.
Very winnable games.
If they win out, they clinch the 2 seed. And the Sixers have to, win. Let's see how many games they should have. Same amount of games left.
Well, and they'll probably be the 1. Let's be honest. I mean, most likely they'll be the 1 seed. So, am I mad at that? Do I care about that? Not really. I mean, in the end, if you make it,
I mean, yeah. I'll tell you right now, if the Sixers aren't the 1 seed, they're doomed because these are the teams they have left. We thought the Bucks games were winnable. These are very winnable. You have Detroit, Indiana, Miami, and Orlando twice. Yeah. Unless they're gonna rest guys. Yeah.
Which it might, but yeah.
But now you look at their leading scorers there. You have Embiid basically dominating everything, both
far and away
in points, rebounds, and even most nights assists. It's like Simmons is there for assists, but I mean you can't win with one guy like that. The Bucks tried that the last 2 years. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So
well, and here's the thing. They're having a great regular season, but they remind me more of what you were just talking about. The Bucks maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, they win a ton of games in the regular season. They make the postseason, and then that's great. They'll of course they'll make it out of the first round, but they won't make it beyond maybe the second one, or maybe they'll make it to the conference finals, but then they'll lose. And look, they're building something with a new coach there, so maybe they'll build it towards getting to the championship, and that's kind of the goal. But I don't think they're quite there yet to win a championship in the Eastern Conference, to get out of it and then beat whoever the Western Conference champion would be.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the East is going to come down to Milwaukee and New Jersey. Yeah. Whoever wins that series, because unless something happens,
like a major injury for somebody in any of those teams, yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to think. The Bucks would be, if the Bucks end up being the 2 and the Sixers the 1. No, yeah, just trying to think, they would.
Well, so I mean, you would.
They might see, but basically, whenever the Nets and the Bucks see each other in the playoffs, that I think that series decides the conference championship this year.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the Bucks have the advantage because you look at the Nets, and like we talked about, they are top heavy. So any one of those guys gets injured or anything happens, it's an immediate detriment to that team being able to move on, or do any damage in the postseason. And like you said, I mean, Steve Nash even said his team is just not. They're not playing with the same type of chemistry, which they don't have, and they won't, because those players on that team have the egos that doesn't allow the team chemistry to happen.
So moving on to the West now. Now the West is getting quite interesting.
Oh, I was waiting all day to talk about the Western Conference.
And I was a big Laker fan with Magic and Kareem, and then even with Kobe and Shaq, and And then, it was like, oh man, we stink. And it's like, then LeBron signed. I was like, well, they're kind of buying titles now. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm kind of getting a chuckle out of the Lakers because, um, the whole way they went about getting Anthony Davis, I didn't like. You basically tampered with them and enforced a trade, basically. But they're now 37-29. They're losing by 10 right now to the Trailblazers, by the way, who they're tied with.
Right. So
this
will
is
put them in the 7th seed.
This is a crucial game because if the Trailblazers beat the Lakers tonight,
right,
and then the positions hold the next couple of games, the Lakers will be in the play-in tournament.
Which we got to talk about that, Coach.
Which LeBron James said whoever thought of this is stupid and should basically be fired.
Exactly. Oh, I was waiting all day to talk about this. LeBron James, I'm calling it right now.
Cry baby James.
Exactly. Shut your mouth. Look, he's used to being in a certain position. Last year, it's the Lakers, everybody, blah, blah, blah. And earlier this year, they were what? They were the 2 seed. They were right behind the Jazz. And now all of a sudden, you're in the 6 seed. And, whoever thought of this is stupid and blah, blah. Dude, play better.
Yeah.
Win more games. Then you don't have to whine about it and play a play-in situation. You're in the 6th seed. You fell from being in the top half of the Western Conference all the way down. And like you just said, Coach, they could be in the 7th spot.
Yeah. And I hope they are. Because
I hope so
I'm
too.
sorry. I am sorry. I am tired of. I like the Lakers as a franchise. I always will. That's who I grew up rooting for. But I don't like LeBron James. I'm sorry. I don't have to be a fan of the player to like the team. And
I think
somebody
he's approaching the situation with a sense of entitlement, like somebody owes him this, just free pass into the postseason. I mean, the last time I checked, everybody has to earn their way into the postseason.
Right.
So
and
games, man.
And just an update, they're now down by 12 in the second quarter to the Trailblazers. So
now on the flip side of that, I will say I was reading an article earlier today about Carmelo Anthony, and he's been able to revitalize his career in Portland. I like what the Trailblazers are. I just wish that they had another piece or two.
Yeah.
Because I really like Damian Lillard as a player, and I really wish they could do a little more. The curse of some of these teams, in my opinion, is that they're in the Western Conference.
Right.
Like how good would the Trailblazers be if they were in the Eastern Conference or the Mavericks or whoever? I mean, these teams are all good, but they're the 5 seed, they're the 6 seed in the West. So.
Well, exactly, and that's the thing. You got to look at it, and it's always kind of been that way with the Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
You had the Lakers, for a long time, and then you had the Warriors, and
right.
So. I look at it and, everybody's going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. The Lakers just need to get into the postseason and they'll win the championship. I'm telling you right now, if the Lakers make the NBA Finals, I am basically finding my biggest, most physical guy and telling him, you're going to body LeBron James all night and we'll just physically wear him out. He is starting to show his age.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
LeBron James does not have many years left.
No.
And I hope he's starting to realize it. because he's slowly falling apart. He has missed so many games this year because of injury and little injuries, not like pulled muscles and stuff. It's like rolled ankles and stuff that just aren't healing. So I'd say he's got 2, maybe 3 seasons left at the best.
I would say 1 to 2 at the most, personally. I mean, just seeing him play and seeing how things.
Well, I'm going based off of his ego. He'll gut it out for
that's
2
a
to
good
3
point,
more
yeah.
years.
I was thinking more practically.
because his thing is, I think his thing is he wants to try to basically make it so his son gets to the Lakers and he can play with them.
Yeah, he's still in the league, and
right.
Yeah.
I really think that's what he wants to do. But anyways, you look going back to the playoffs. The team that I'd be wary of though in the West, the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
They at the beginning of the season they were left for dead again.
Right.
And they are now, yes, they're in the playoff, bracket. Again, that's probably where they're going to be stuck.
And most likely that's where they'll be when this plays out. Yeah.
But Steph Curry has been on a roll lately.
Yeah.
And to put that team in the position that they're in, you get him in the playoffs and he becomes a different player.
Right.
Not saying they're going to make a run at the title, but they are. If they can get through the play-in tournament, watch out. That is not going to be an easy out in the first round.
I don't think so either. I agree with you. I mean, they're a little top heavy, which is why they won't win a title. You've got Curry, you got Wiggins, you got a couple other players, but if he gets on a tear, which he absolutely is capable of doing, this team could definitely win that first or even next level of playoff competition. It's definitely possible.
Right.
So yeah, no, I like them. I'm glad to see that they're back. I mean, people got a little tired maybe of them winning titles, but I wasn't really I wasn't hating on them like that. So I think they're gonna make it from the West. Even though there's a bunch of competition there as far as the Grizzlies are there, the Spurs are right there, but I think the Warriors are gonna make it postseason wise.
Yeah, and like I said, the West is tough.
It's just loaded with teams.
Yeah, they have really good teams there. So, and we will preview more of the NBA playoffs probably next week's show because we'll pretty much know kind of who's where. We'll have a couple that 1 or 2 games left in the season for next week's show, but it's always exciting to have playoff sports, not just our season. And we've talked about this. We usually don't talk NBA and Major League Baseball because there's just so many games. It's just like the NHL also. There's just so many games in the regular season that.
Yeah, I mean, 84 games. This is a ton of games to go through and talk about during the regular season. But
we'll talk about the NBA a little bit more. Now, Lone Wolf, unless you have anything else.
The only thing I'll say with the NBA, the closing thought on the NBA is, since we're getting close to the postseason, I would say we both can feel pretty good about ourselves from the standpoint of we both picked a team at the beginning, way before this season started, even a month or two beforehand, who we said, this is the team that we kind of think is going to surge this year. I picked the Hawks, you picked the Suns, and right now they're both sitting there in a good playoff position.
Yes. Yep. So. We get some stuff right now and then.
I'm just patting us on the back. I mean, just taking a little advantage of that. So,
All right. So I guess at least I am. I don't know about you. I am proud to announce the return of, where is it?
Hello? So do we have everybody?
Let's see, is Butthead here?
Damn it, Beavis, I'm right.
For those of you who have not heard the show before, that is the intro to our Beavis comment of the week. So I am very proud to have them back with us.
Yes.
Now, you texted me some good ideas because to be honest, I really haven't had a lot of time. I've kind of been on a sports radio strike. Not listening to these goofball talking heads. So you sent me some things. So I did some research here while I was waiting for. We're a little behind in uploading shows to YouTube, getting that fixed out. We had some technical issues with one of the shows. It won't let me download it from Podbean. So hopefully Podbean. I've been emailing you guys. We've been emailing. Hopefully you get that fixed.
Right.
Okay.
Help us out, Podbean.
But there were two. I found audio of two comments.
Okay.
And you are going to. I'm going to play them both.
Okay. All right.
And it is up to you, Lone Wolf, to pick the winner.
The winner of the Beavis comment
of the week. Beavis comment of the week.
Okay.
So the first one, and you sent me the comment from Karis LeVert about Kyrie Irving. So I researched it. There was something even earlier than him.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
That
comment in and of itself to me was
ridiculous. Well, this one gets even better.
Oh, okay.
This is by, again, one of our talking heads.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Matt Barnes.
Be the most skilled point guard, but maybe player we've ever seen.
Okay, so Rod Strickland, who is obviously biased, it's his godfather.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind
the
this.
Most skilled.
Well, let's go back a little bit farther here. I want you to get some context with this. So they're talking about Kyrie Irving.
It is technically his offhand, but Kyrie Irving has no offhand, people.
And he's arguably the most skilled point guard, but maybe player we've ever seen.
Okay, so Rod Strickland, who is obviously biased, it's his.
So, Kyrie Irving, the most skilled basketball player we have ever seen, Lone.
Ever seen. Not
seen.
Oscar Robertson, not Will Chamberlain, not Michael Jordan, not LeBron James, but Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Most skilled player we have ever seen.
I mean, initially he said point guard, and then he said, no.
Yeah.
No, player.
All right. So that's number one. That was a really good one. I was like, oh, that's a good one.
That is really good.
Earlier text you had sent me.
Oh boy.
About Detroit having one of the best offensive lines in the league this coming year.
Right, a top 5 offensive line.
So I'm like, all right, this probably and I researched, I found some news articles, but then I found this clip.
Oh boy.
I found this clip. Let's see if you can figure out who it is.
Lions, you did the smart thing. You win with bigs. Build with bigs. BWB, build with bigs. Don't fall in love with the sexy. I think the Lions now, because Penei Sewell, will have a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. And I think they'll have a top 5 offensive line in the NFL for the better part of a decade because of this selection. The Lions, this is one of the first times in a long time that I feel like they are doing the right thing. Now they got a chance to build an organization.
Oh boy.
First of all, do you know who that is?
I'm going to take a shot at it because I don't quite recognize the voice, but I'm going to go with Dan Orlovsky.
Very good.
Okay. All right.
So Mr. Orlovsky says the Troy Lions, because of one guy in a group of 5, because of one guy in a group of 5 is going to have one of the best O-lines in the league for a decade. You have a tough choice. Oh no, because these both could be the winner.
They both could be the winner of this particular one. I agree. Because, both of them to me are ludicrous. You look at it, Kyrie Irving, the best, most skilled player we have ever seen. I mean, you're just putting down every other player that's ever played in the history of the NBA that you could name, that I named a few of. And I didn't even get to everybody. I mean, skill-wise, just ridiculous. But this Dan Orlovsky comment, who he himself played for the Lions while he was journeymaning his way around the NFL. Okay. I have to go with the Dan Orlovsky comment about the Lions because Kyrie Irving actually has skill. Now, is he the most skilled player ever? No, but he actually has skill. The Lions having a top 5 offensive line for a decade because of one guy that they drafted is absolutely absurd and is untrue. So I think I have to go with the Orlovsky comment. So the latter and not the former is the Beavis comment of the week.
All right. So
hello? So do we have everybody?
Mr. Orlovsky,
Is Butthead
you
here?
get
Damn it, Beavis, I'm right here.
a butthead smack. Mr. Orlovsky. I think he is now a 2-time winner of the Beavis Comment Award.
He is.
Yeah. There are some talking heads that are the gift that keeps on giving for us. So I can't disagree with the selection.
Yeah.
Because it's a group of 5. It's a group of 5. I don't get how you can sit here and say they'll have the best one. He didn't say the best. He'll have one of the best offensive lines in the league for a decade. Where do you get that merit? Because here's the thing. Who are your other? I don't even know who their other linemen are. And if you're telling me they had 4 of the best offensive linemen in the league last year, and this guy takes them to the next level, why were they 5-11?
I agree. I mean, like, how is their offensive line that good? Like, and he's not alone in praising their offensive line, because I've seen other articles talking about this and other people saying I think they're going to have a good offensive line. But if they were so bad last year, not just as a team, but their offensive line wasn't very good. And I think if you asked Matthew Stafford in private without reporters and you said, hey, dude, Matt, look, how good was your offensive line? He'd probably tell you my ribs would say that the offensive line wasn't very good because he got beat up a lot.
Yeah. So their last ranking for their entire offensive line from 2020 by Pro Football Focus was 13th. Middle of the pack. That's not one of the best.
No.
If you want to be one of the best teams in the league, you need to have a offensive line that ranks in the top. And
Top 10.
and I'm just saying.
I mean, immediately Penei Sewell puts him in the top 5, though. Not even top 10.
Yeah.
The reason, to me, Coach, the reason that this comment becomes a Beavis comment isn't, well, for 1 year they can have a top 5 offensive line. For a decade. They will have a top 5 on the whole decade. Top 5, the whole decade.
Right. Because all these guys are going to stay with the Lions and play with the Lions for the next 10 years. You didn't know that?
Injured and last and
Sewell is going to make sure that they all stay together for 10 years.
Right.
The funny thing is he probably won't even be in Detroit for 10 years because after his rookie contract is done, he's going to be like, I am out of here. This place sucks. It's Detroit.
Right.
What positive thing has come out of Detroit lately? You can't even say a manufactured car.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Exactly. So yeah, there we have it. The return of the Beavis Count of the Week. Thank you, fellas, for coming and joining us once again. That covers my bases tonight, Lone Wolf. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No. I think we hit on the big things. I'm glad we brought the NBA back into the fold. We really kind of needed to get there. I think with the playoffs coming up, I think next time we'll dive into that since we will be at playoff time, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next time.
All right. Good night.